Greetings, everybody. This is a lovely Thursday today. It's the 6th of March 2025. I'm back again with another video. This time I won't be talking about prophecy as I've been doing in recent times, but I want to talk personal. So I'm going to call this video Personal Reflections. But I trust you're all well and that you are enjoying your time, whether it's evening, day, or morning. As poor as a church mouse. We've all heard of that idiom. You know, the idioms of the olden days held so much truth in them. If we look at the idiom as poor as a church mouse, obviously the church mouse will be much poorer than the other mice, because in a church there's not much food that is stored or handled. So as poor as a church mouse, that was me. I was very poor as a student at a top university during the apartheid years. So I was a victim of apartheid. I was so poor that a lot of the things that other students could enjoy, I could not. It was a struggle for me. And of course, others like me, I had to fill in a special form in order to get access to the university, that the government could accept a person of color at the university. So at UCT, University of Cape Town, I was this struggling student. I was so poor that my lunch was always peanut butter and fish paste sandwiches. I could not go to the cafeteria like other students because I couldn't afford a better lunch. I would be so poor that I had to commute to the university using the third-class train to university each day because it was too expensive for me. I remember also in the huge lecture rooms on campus where there's 200 students or so, I would observe the nonchalant attitudes of the white students, who many of them also would come to the back of the lecture theatre and read the morning newspapers, while I feverishly tried to capture the notes of the lecturer. They would arrive at university in their own cars. Students had cars even in those days, which was so fantastical to me. As poor as a church mouse. Even at the end of the term, the university term, I would overhear white students discussing their holiday plans. They'll be going to far places. Some would be driving in their vehicles, others would be flying. This was so fantastical to me. And everything was so Eurocentric on campus. As a person of color, I was a minority on campus. And there was this complete domination of everything Eurocentric. Why am I saying this to you? Firstly, lest we forget, today I would suspect a lot of people don't reflect on what has actually happened in the past, and it is something that's just swept away. But I just wanted to remind the viewers that the Eurocentric atmosphere was complete. It was absolute. And why am I reminding you of this? I'm reminding you because they were victims of apartheid, and terrible and huge injustices were perpetrated in those days. You know, the people were poor because they were of underpayment, of what I would term modern day slavery, slavery wages, if we may put it that way. They had poor housing, uh, poor jobs. There was what we call job reservations, and also professions were not open as they are today. So people of color had only certain professions that they could go to study for and to work as. So it was an insidious, complete, and absolute system, and it really. I'm really trying to show you how the weak, the poor, the vulnerable, and people of color were insignificant during those horrible times. I'm asking the question then, what is wrong with our religion? That we see people treat God's creation in such ways and then still regard themselves as righteous. Why do people treat God's creation in such a way? You know, in another video, I reminded the viewers of the fact that in West Africa, a church was built on top of the dungeons and the holding cells of the slaves, the captured people that were to go across the Atlantic in ships to be sold as slaves in the Americas and the Caribbean. But the issue here is that the people felt free to worship on the top, and surely they knew below were these people, these God's creations, in these terrible conditions. You know, in Matthew 25 of the Bible, Jesus Christ answered some questions there. Matthew 25 verses 40 to 45. You know the story, but if you don't, go and check it out. Go and see the profound test that's put forth to all mankind. In answer to the question where people were saying, but what did they do wrong, or so on, then he says, the king will reply so, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me. So when kindness and civil behavior is given towards other people, that kindness is reckoned that you've done it to Christ, the King. But if you treated people in cruel and abrasive and dismissive ways, the King is saying that you've done it to me. And it's a terrible situation. It is actually a huge test for us all. And for those people who perpetrated these cruelties even now into this modern day, these words here are very reflective and very true. He's coming for you. And all those who perpetrated in the past, unfortunately, judgment doesn't just slip away in time. Judgment is still operative. And time exists for mankind, but for God, who is eternal, time is just a human construct. So I'd just like to prick our conscience on this one about the past. As I started off with as poor as a church mouse, and I talked about being victims of apartheid. There's many little stories I can add to this, but I just wanted to touch on that on a personal note, and also to highlight the fact that scripturally we are all tested on this matter. So I just want to wish you a beautiful day further.